Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. I don't have all the energy in the world to give to this video today, so I'm going to try and be concise. I'm going to try and be to the point. I'm going to break this video up into 4 messages, I guess you could say. We're going to start with players. We're going to go on to manager, sporting directors, and owners. That is 4 different members of the hierarchy of Chelsea Football Club that I think need to be addressed by a fan. And obviously, everyone's got their own opinion. Everyone's got their own say. This is me. This isn't, in my opinion, an overreaction because we were beaten by Legia Warsaw. And despite being beaten, we still qualified for the semi-final of a European trophy. All of that is valid. But Reece James's interview last night, post-match, tells me a big story. And I know that some people will say, you're looking into it too much, you're overanalyzing things, you're putting on a negative lens and choosing to see things this way. Did you look at the Chelsea captain last night, who again isn't playing in Premier League matches despite being the best right back at the club, non-negotiable? He's not playing in those games. He's getting 90 minutes on a Thursday night in a Conference League match where even 10,000, 1/4 of our stadium, didn't even want to show up last night. So I don't know about you, but if I'm the Chelsea captain, I can fully sympathise with Reece James here because he's coming into this interview off the back of an embarrassing defeat where everyone's been booed off the pitch, they've been jeered, but I've never seen Reece look so downbeat. I've never seen 11 players out there on the field for Chelsea look so dejected and void of ideas. And obviously, as we go later on into this video, I'll give some potential explanation as to why I believe that is. But at this stage of the season, right, Conference League or not, we're probably going to win that trophy. But those footballers out there right now, they're a big young bunch of players who grew up watching the Champions League and seen Chelsea, if we're not winning the Champions League, Europa League. We win that competition as well, twice, 4 times. In 13 years, we have won a European trophy. This Conference League, the players that were put out there last night, the first team players, didn't look like they wanted to be there. They kind of looked like it was annoying, aggravating to even be asked to go out and play on the pitch. I said in the build-up to this match, use this opportunity to be 3-0 up, to play a load of academy players that want to go out there and prove a point. You had Cole Palmer limping around for the majority of the first half, looking as if he belonged to playing the Championship last night. I never thought I'd see the day where I would literally sit here and look down the lens of this camera and say Cole Palmer looks like a Championship player. Everybody at the start of the season who was performing, even last season under Mauricio Pochettino, they look a shadow of the players that they once were. And considering we have got Fulham away, we have got an absolute uphill battle to finish in the Champions League, I am looking at a squad of players where we rely on our left back to arrive in the box to score the goals. Nicholas Jackson hasn't scored in, 12, 13 games? Palmer hasn't scored in 15. Nkunku hasn't scored in 8. We are talking here about a crisis on the field for Chelsea. And people might not think so because, well, we're 6th and we're still in the race for the Champions League places. 2025, the performance capitulation that we have witnessed in comparison to all of 2024, to be honest, from January onwards last year, we did get better. After we were battered 5-0 at Arsenal, there was a response. There was reinvigorated belief, hope from these players and an excitement when they were out there with the ball at their feet, with the willingness to do things. We are seeing Chelsea players right now looking around at who's going to be to blame. We're seeing minimal effort at best. And as a Chelsea fan watching from the sidelines, it is almost impossible right now to feel positive. It's almost impossible to actually believe that we can still achieve our goals this season. And again, bringing it back to the captain, Reece James, it is absolutely, it's a disgrace in my opinion, to leave a player who every person in football is aware of just how good this man is. And that is why we need to progress here into the message of this video, because Reece James is being picked to play on Thursday nights in these very tedious Conference League games, and yet he doesn't even get on the pitch in must-win Premier League games. And I'm sorry, but as far as I'm aware, coach, manager, whatever he may be, Enzo Maresca is the man who is putting these players out and making the decisions. Or is he? That is the other question that we'll get into a bit later in this video. But Enzo Maresca has, as this season has gone on, he has drained the confidence out of these players. He has drained the maverick potential out of the likes of Cole Palmer. He has drained the ability to get involved and muscle his way into things of Nicholas Jackson. The wingers at this football club, all they do is cross the ball into the box and there's nobody there. The repeat of the same behaviours on the pitch is jarring to watch from the sidelines, to the point where Stamford Bridge, a stadium that isn't necessarily renowned for the most bouncy, vibrant atmosphere in the world, but Stamford Bridge has never felt so toxic. And I know I'm not there, but I've got a lot of friends of mine on this phone who aren't even turning up anymore because the atmosphere is so dead inside the stadium. But it's completely understandable because Enzo Maresca has said it himself. He can't play any other way. And the style of football is so boring. It's so slow. There's no entertainment. And I think that has completely gone now into the players. I don't think the players are actually inspired to go out there on the field and express themselves. When you look at teams like Newcastle United, you know, Harvey Barnes, Jacob Murphy, I wouldn't necessarily say these guys are significantly better players than Noni Madueke, Pedro Neto. Maybe they are. But at least they go out there and they play with some ferocity, with some intensity, with some potency. These Chelsea players are being told to keep the ball, to draw the oppositions out. But I'm sorry, as this season has gone on, this style has been found out to the point now even the 5th best team in Poland can come to our home and beat us. Ipswich Town, a team that are virtually relegated and have been most of the season, can come and go 2-0 up at Stamford Bridge. And then what? Our club captain just remains on the bench. Why is Enzo Maresca insisting that Reece James is a defensive midfielder? Are you insulting my intelligence? Are you insulting everyone's intelligence? Reece James, when he's fit, which he is at the moment, is the best right back in the world. And I've watched him play for my club, our club, time and time again, delivering. And the man looks absolutely void of all passion. And that leads me into talk about the sporting directors. The sporting directors are Paul Winstanley and Laurence Stewart. These guys have been tasked with the task of bringing in all of this squad. You have sacked an elite Champions League winning manager, Thomas Tuchel, gutted a Champions League winning squad to replace them with kids. Kids that don't have any leadership on the pitch to look up to in moments where things get tough, where the manager is playing this rigid, structured style where, okay, I'm going to get subbed if I don't do as I'm told. It's almost to the point now where we can't even just say the sporting directors need to go. But I will say the sporting directors need to go. This has been so long in the making. We could have said this 4 transfer windows ago. And the fact that all of this is still being enabled and they keep on signing Matisa Mugu's, like, what is the point in this? Tell me right now why. I'm talking directly to you, Paul Winstanley and Laurence Stewart. Why should I, a Chelsea fan my whole life, I'm 30 years old, I love this football club to death. I've seen us go from, in the early 2000s, when I'm literally becoming a human being in this world, seeing us win FA Cups, going in the Abramovich era, we win Premier Leagues, we win the Champions League, we won everything. We've won everything. Why should I believe in what you are telling me to trust? Tell me. Because what have you done since you've come into this football club? You spent £1.5 billion and we are regressing year after year. Our finances are in the mud. People don't want to talk about the loans that have been taken out by the owners. We'll get into them in a minute. Because people won't care about that until we stop seeing transfers come in. Until it's too late that Chelsea can't afford to buy good players anymore. And even more importantly, you might not want to go out there in the market and pay the top wages to top players, but let me enlighten you on something. Top players, even if you decide you want to change your mind and change your model, top players are going to take one look at the shit show that is the running of this football club and be like, no chance, mate. Adios. See you later. And that is why we have to put all of this blame on the ownership for enabling all of the mediocrity that I have spent the last 10 minutes on this video talking about. Because at the end of the day, right, you can sit there and say, we've got to get Maresca out. He's rubbish. The football is boring. Well, what's that going to achieve if you keep Paul Winstanley and Laurence Stewart, the men that have failed to build a competitive squad to challenge for trophies? We can't even get to the semi-finals, quarter-finals of flipping the Carabao Cup. We feebly go out in that. We feebly get knocked out the FA Cup. We're crawling to the end of the Conference League, losing at home to 5th in Poland, Legia Warsaw. And you are telling me that we have got these young, bright players that are going to be a 100-point team. You are out of your mind. Absolutely out of your mind. And it is Egbali, Feliciano, Todd Boehly, all of them have been the ones who came into this football club because the UK government sanctioned our owner, Roman Abramovich, an elite football owner who only cared about winning. These guys have come in, ripped up the entire rule book, and they're like, you know what? We might not have any experience in this sport, in this country, but we are going to do things like X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be this way or the highway. And what? You expect me? You expect other Chelsea fans to just sit on this little bus and run down that highway and accept all of this shit? I'm sorry, but decision after decision, enable after enable has come from you, the owners of this football club. You have kept Paul Winstanley and Laurence Stewart in a job for so long, and you've given them all this money to spend. On what? On what? You have missed the core fundamentals that any club needs. When things don't go well with the players on the pitch, there's got to be a sprinkling of experience in there so that when the manager screws up and doesn't have any way to win a game, you've got moments on the pitch from elite players that have been there and done it that can get those youngsters together and be like, right, this is how we do it. We don't have any of this. The list of issues, right? We can talk about players, manager, sporting directors, owners. But honestly, I could be here all day. But the only difference is, right, I spend every day talking about the club. I still get excited when we're linked with certain players. But moving forward, right, you have somehow managed to 10,000 Chelsea fans didn't show up. Surely now you can see, you can feel in the depths of your pockets that we're not even turning up to watch anymore because we don't care, because it's apathy at this point. And all of this comes back to the ownership enabling everything. I want them gone. Realise that you are out of your depth and you have buried an absolute gargantuan institution of Chelsea Football Club, and you've buried us and thrown soggy, wet mud on top of it. It's disgusting. I hate what I see. I can't stand the football that we play. And yes, we might still finish in the Champions League, but do you think for 1 second I believe that we will? I've talked about Newcastle, Aston Villa, Man City, Nottingham Forest. All of these teams have an actual team of players that look up for the challenge, that want it. We can't even motivate the flipping players, let alone have a manager who's got no desire to even try something when things aren't working. And then we have got sporting directors that keep insisting that the way forward is to keep buying children. And that is being okayed by a bunch of people that have never worked in football before. Disgusting. Get them out. I'm sick of it. Absolutely sick of it. Thoughts in the comments. I'll see you tomorrow.